Hello and welcome to Painting with Coach Ellie. Today we're going to be doing finger painting again. I recommend using some sort of water-based thick paint like acrylic, which is what I'm using. I'm going to tape my paper down to my surface because it can get kind of difficult. So if you can ask a parent for some tape to do this, unless you're painting on newspapers or something to keep the paint from getting on the table, which is important because this is going to be a little bit messy. Make sure that you're wearing clothes that it's okay to get dirty, and also make sure that while you're painting, you don't paint anything but the paper in front of you. I recommend having some sort of towel or paper or paper towel napkin to wipe your fingers on in between colors. Again, ask your parents for this. While this is finger painting, I do recommend having one small, it doesn't have to be a nice big brush, but a nice small brush on standby for towards the end of this project. Alright, now let's get started. To begin, we're going to use white paint. So I'm just going to grab the entire bottle and put a bunch of white globs on my paper. Alright, now you kind of want to put it so that you can spread it everywhere, because that's kind of going to be the purpose of using it this way. So make sure that you have a nice even spread. You don't want to put too much, but this is the most we'll be using. And then you're going to take your blue and do 3 blue dots at the top. Alright? We're going to start by working with our primary colors. So next you'll be grabbing red, and then your red will go in the middle. And you don't want these to be huge dots, okay? Because these colors will go a long way, and we don't want it to be a super dark painting. That's why we put all of that white on the page. And now we're going to do a yellow. Same process, just 3 globs at the bottom of the page. This one, it doesn't matter if you put a lot. I kind of put more than I put of the other colors because it's so light. So now we're going to grab our red and we're going to put just 2 small dots of red under the main line of red that we have, and then the same thing on top of that line. We're going to put 2 small dots. And then we're going to take our yellow and we're going to do 2 small dots. And then we'll do the same thing with the blue on top. Great, so now that that's done, you're just going to take your finger and you're going to start with your yellow and you're going to push it around. Now whenever you push it, I don't want you to go up and down, okay? We're going to go side to side across the page. We don't want to do swirls, we don't want to do diagonal, just side to side. And now you're going to do a little bit of red. You're going to introduce a little bit of red into it. Make sure you're gathering the white. You don't want to go all the way down because you want to keep it yellow down there, and if you mix in the red, it'll change the color. And then now you can grab your middle line of red, mix that in, make sure you're getting some of the white in there. See how the red is a very dark color, so we don't want too much of it. And you're mixing in the white. And then you can move up to mix in your blues. And we're just mixing in that second line right now. so that we can make it a nice purple. I'm just gathering the paint from the edges of my painting. Okay, and now that I've wiped my fingers off, I'm going to do the blue. Make sure you wipe your fingers off in between, that way you don't accidentally mix a different color with it, because up here it's supposed to mostly be blue. And then you'll bring that blue down to mix in with the purples and then the reds. And then I'm going to wipe off my finger, start with a clean hand again. And so we're just working on blending those colors in. And now we're going to take our yellow and we're going to make a big part of a circle. Okay? See how I make it curved? And that's just with the yellow. You don't have to do it with the other colors. Now we're taking our fingers, and make sure that you do it when their fingers are clean. See how I accidentally brought some of the color in there? So what I'm doing is I'm switching fingers, that way I can streak them without getting more paint, different colored paint into my big yellow ball of sunlight. And now you're going to do little swirls, just side to side, really small. And you're going to push the paint up into the darker sky area. Make sure you wipe your finger off in between each one. And so now we're going to do the same thing but going in the opposite direction, starting small between your little already there swirlies, and then you're going to move up so that the sky does it too. And so now I'm just grabbing a little bit of yellow and making sure that it kind of mixes into the bottom row of swirly spiral things. I'm going to add more yellow to my sun because it just needs a little bit more. It's starting to dry. And I always mix it with white. so now that I have that all settled and fixed up, I'm going to continue trying to push the yellow up into the pinkish red area. Now remember, you want to be careful. You don't want to keep reusing the same finger, because then you'll bring down the darker colors into your bright little sun. So what you have to do to avoid that is, in between your different spirals, you got to try to wipe off your finger. Okay, now I'm going to smooth out my bottom area. And then I'm going to take some of the yellow, and I'm going to make a few extra little yellow spirals in between where the big ones are. That's just so that it looks like the sunlight is reaching a little bit further out than what we're already showing. So this one's going to be a little bit more careful. It's very easy to mix the paints and kind of, make it super messy, so it's okay if it doesn't turn out exactly how you want it to. Just as long as you have fun and you like it. Once you're finished with that, you can pick how you want your sun to look. You can either spread the paint out like we were doing before in big long strips, or you can try using the same technique that we were using earlier to make all of our swirls to give it kind of a more textured look. so now this is when the paintbrush comes in. I have with me something to put some paint on, and I put a little bit of white paint. Now I'm taking the very, very tippiest tip of my paintbrush, and I'm going to dip it gently into the white paint, just so that the little small tip has some on it. And using that white paint, I'm going to go up into the blue, and I'm going to draw some stars. Now that I've done some big stars, I'm just going to do a few kind of freckled dots everywhere to convey more stars, and that way I can keep them kind of closer to the sun too, and it doesn't have to just be all the way in the far sky, and I'll just make them smaller as it gets closer to the sun. But you can do this however you want. You can draw a spaceship, you could draw the moon, you could draw other planets. It's up to you. Just have fun with it. Sorry about the camera angle, by the way. I accidentally nudged my holder. But I'm adding some white into some of my strips, and I'm adding some white into the sun. That way it just pops a little bit more. It gives you a nice little extra layer of brightness. Alright, and that's about it. Let me fix my camera. Thank you for joining me today for our painting session. I'm sure your masterpiece turned out wonderful, and I would love to see how it looks. I hope you had fun, and I will see you for our later videos. I'm gonna go ahead and take the tape off just so we can get the full effect of the painting. So thank you again, and I'll see you next week.